Hunter x Hunter meets Pokémon, the Nen Master who conquered both worlds. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. I'm laughing at you because you're not big enough. 1/6, please collect. In the middle of the European continent, within the United States of Sahelta, in a casino in a town. 7 o'clock, stud. The quiet casino was like a bomb whose core was detonated, making a rumbling noise. I stud too. Whoever squeezes me, get out of my way, and I'll do it too. Unlike the excited and flushed faces of the gamblers around him, Lin Ke looked at the dice skew on the table calmly. For others, this is a matter of probability, but for him the outcome has already been decided. The dealer with a good face held the dice skew tightly. The light dice skew seemed to be extremely heavy at the moment, making it impossible for her to open it. Seeing that all kinds of chips were accumulating on the table representing 7 o'clock, they even piled up a small hill. The croupier knew his career was over. No, it might be worse. After all, the casino where I work is affiliated with a gang. With such a big loss now, I don't think my life can be saved. Thinking of this, the croupier stared at the indifferent Lin Ke, his eyes gradually turned red. She didn't understand why such a thing happened? The handsome young man in front of him had won 8 games in a row, and even every game was based on guessing the point rather than guessing the size. She couldn't calculate how small the probability was. She only knew that at her own level, she couldn't tell whether Lin Ke was cheating. Lin Ke didn't care and let the dealer delay here. But someone quit. What are you doing? Open it quickly, I'm still waiting to get the money. Seeing that the croupier was reluctant to announce the result, the gamblers on the side began to curse and forced her to open it. Many others have rolled up their sleeves and seem ready to threaten with force. At this time, a voice came from behind the crowd, the casino is here today to see off guests. Looking back following the sound, I saw a middle-aged man with a big belly standing in the middle, with several strong men in suits guarding him on both sides. The middle-aged man has a stubble on his face and a cigar in his mouth. At first glance, he looks like Capone Becky from One Piece. The person who came was Pies, the famous gang boss in this town. Seeing that the boss behind the casino appeared, some people planned to give up as soon as possible, but most of them were greedy people who were blinded by money. In their opinion, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they were unwilling to leave like this until they saw the guards taking out pistols from their arms. The gamblers who looked fierce just now turned from devouring wolves into docile sheep in the blink of an eye. They didn't even dare to say a harsh word and left in despair. The casino, which was originally bustling with people, was driven away by the guards, leaving only the croupier and Lin Ke staying where they were. Seeing the boss taking action, the croupier breathed a sigh of relief. His delicate face showed a slight hesitation. He swallowed and slowly opened the dice. 1, 3, 3, 7 o'clock. At the same time, Pies came to Lin Ke with his guards, clenched his fists and made a clicking sound, and said with a ferocious smile, "Boy, are you brave enough to come and cause trouble in my casino?" As Pies said this, he motioned to the croupier on the other side of the gaming table to step back. "So you don't want to give me the money today?" Lin Ke raised his eyebrows and pointed at the mountains of chips on the table. "Ha ha ha, you still want money? Not only will you keep the money today, but you also have to keep your head." After finishing speaking, the gang guards on the left and right surrounded Lin Ke and raised their pistols to point at Lin Ke. Looking at the dark muzzles aiming at each other, Pies didn't see the panic he expected on Lin Ke's face. "You kid. What are you laughing at?" Lin Ke looked at Pies, with a contemptuous smile on his angular face. "Me? I'm laughing at you. You're not big enough. It's just a small millionaire nun. You can't help it anymore? Since you don't follow the rules, I won't be merciful, right, Gardevoir?" "What Gardevoir?" There was a trace of confusion in Pies' eyes, and the beady eyes covered by fat made it even more funny. In an instant, streaks of pink telekinesis that no one else could see struck toward the guards with Lin Ke as the center. The guards who were alive and kicking 1 second fell to the ground the next. There was no breath, wisps of bright red blood flowed out of the 5 orifices, his mouth was wide open, and he rolled his eyes. Several burly and powerful bodies collapsed to the ground as if their backbones had been taken away, causing the ground to shake and stir up gusts of wind and dust. "Ah. Weird, monster." After seeing the scene in front of him clearly, Pies hurriedly stepped back, muttering words like monster in his mouth. But in the rush, the fat body could not maintain its balance and fell heavily, and the layers of fat on his face trembled. This fall completely woke him up. He was somewhat of a figure, and he had heard some rumors, so he thought he had met people he couldn't afford to offend. Now, can I still take the money? Lin Ke's frivolous words were like whispers from the devil in Pai's ears. Yes, it's okay. Sir, you can take as much as you want, I just ask you to let me go. Pais knelt on the ground with tears and runny nose, begging Lin Ke bitterly. He doesn't want to die yet. He hasn't enjoyed it enough yet. The richer the person, the more afraid of death. Oh, can you take as much as you want? Then give me all the money you have here. Hearing this, Pais's face froze, and the little calculation in his heart couldn't help but start to move. By the way, if you are still alive without a nun, don't question my ability to distinguish. Lin Ke looked at Pais with a look of horror on his face. This kind of reverse plot between the hunter and the prey is really satisfying. No wonder so many people like to pretend to be pigs and eat tigers. A few minutes later, Pais came to Lin Ke carrying 2 large boxes of money. His face was filled with a look of death, as if he had lost his parents. One more thing, how long will it take at the earliest to get me an identity certificate? Identity proof in the world of Hunter. Now is the time to let this toolman help him get things done. A week or so. Lin Ke stared at Pais, who was covered in cold sweat and didn't dare to breathe at all, and smiled for a long time. Okay, I'll give you this week. During this time, I'll stay in the hotel next door. Let me know when it's done. Episode 2. Pokémon Master. Arriving at the hotel room, Lin Ke fell down on the bed. He chose the most upscale room. The interior was splendidly decorated and the bed was extremely comfortable. Looking sideways at the 2 large boxes of money, Lin Ke still can't believe it until now. Not long ago, I was staying at home, re-watching the Hunter x Hunter anime and playing Pokémon games. Who would have thought that he would come to this world as soon as he closed his eyes and then opened them? After a little understanding, Lin Ke finally determined that he had come to the world of Hunter x Hunter. Logically speaking, it should be a good thing to travel to the world of your favorite anime, but this is the world of Hunter x Hunter. Lin Ke, who has watched Hunter x Hunter, naturally knows what kind of world this is. It can be described as a high-risk world. In this world, only strength is everything. Monsters, rare beasts, treasures, secret treasures, magic realms, secret realms, these sound fascinating, but you can only enjoy them if you have enough strength. In this world, without strength, one can only be like an ant, and one's own destiny is completely controlled by others. For example, the Phantom Troop, a criminal, has killed countless people, but can still get away with it. There is no obvious white or black in this world, it is like a delicate gray. No matter what your background is, whether you are good or bad, as long as you have enough strength, you can live freely in this world. For example, the famous Zoldyck family is the #1 killer family in the world. Why does no one dare to attack them? Isn't it because of their strength? At first, I was still complaining. I was obviously still playing the Pokémon game, so why not travel into the Pokémon world? That wouldn't be bad either. It's fine now. When I travel to this world where no worries exist, I don't even know if my own life can be guaranteed. Maybe one day a noble person passing by would look displeased with him and die. Not to mention that the world is full of all kinds of strange creatures and disasters. Without some ability, it is very possible to be infected with inexplicable bacteria or viruses and die directly one day. The only thing Lin Ke felt lucky was that he did not end up in Meteor Street, but in a small alley in an ordinary town. According to incomplete statistics, 8 out of 10 Hunter x Hunter fan novels have the protagonist landing in Meteor Street. After he calmed down, a message came into his consciousness, and he stopped complaining. Nen, Pokémon Master. 1. Obtain, every time you go to an area or participate in an event, you may have the opportunity to breed Pokémon. The more famous and unique the place, the higher the probability of creating a more powerful Pokémon. If you participate in the original plot, you may increase the probability of obtaining Pokémon. Each Pokémon is an independent individual. Although its essence is composed of thoughts, each Pokémon cannot be obtained repeatedly and disappears upon death. Restrictions: it takes time to breed a Pokémon. The time required to breed a Pokémon is random. Generally speaking, the more powerful the Pokémon, the longer it takes. 2. Training. Pokémon can gain experience points through battles, and when the experience value bar is full, they can be promoted to the next stage. The more powerful the enemy, the higher the experience value, and some special Pokémon have other ways to advance. If multiple Pokémon enter the field at the same time, the experience points will be divided equally. Restrictions: each enemy can only gain experience points once, and there will be no experience points for fighting again. 3. Illustrated book can identify information about anything including Pokémon. The more mysterious the thing, the less information you can get. Because Pokémon are in different worlds, the effects of their skills may vary. Restrictions: in addition to viewing Pokémon information, obtaining information about other things requires consuming a small amount of your own mental energy. After reading this message completely, Lin Ke finally understood why he had not traveled to the Pokémon world, and the emotional Pokémon was waiting for him here. It is no exaggeration to say that this is my golden finger as a time traveler. Judging from this news, as long as you become a traveler, go to various famous places, or participate in the original plot, you will have a chance to get Pokémon. And I didn't go through the orthodox method of opening aura nodes, it just appeared naturally. Lin Ke guessed that he might be a natural neener like Nyang in the original work. Lin Ke turned his head to the other side, and the first thing that caught his eye was a head of emerald green hair and eyes as clear as rubies. There is an irregular red crystal on the chest, and the lower body is covered with a white and light long skirt. She looks like an elegant noble lady. It is Gardevoir, known as the Super Queen. The illustrated ability is activated. Name: Gardevoir. Features: cannot be viewed. Properties: cannot be viewed. Strength: B. Skill: telepathy. The rest cannot be viewed. The Gardevoir in front of me appeared along with the nun message. To describe it, it was like a gift package for newbies. The complete message with only 2 lines looked pitifully lonely, which also made Lin Ke thoughtful. The differentiation of strength levels in the illustrated book is based on letters. Lin Ke, who hasn't met other nin yet, doesn't know what level of strength level B is, but it shouldn't be much different. The most important thing is that although the Pokémon appears in the form of a mind beast, but each one is an independent existence. They don't need to use their own telekinesis when fighting, but rely on themselves. Just like a living Pokémon moves by relying on its own physical strength. Lin Ke's body is like a large Pokémon ball, which only serves the purpose of storage. Pokémon can also come back to restore the energy consumed. This means that even if Lin Ke doesn't exercise and improve his telekinesis, he can still become a strong person through Pokémon. Others have to charge forward in the battle, and you just have to be a good trainer and direct the Pokémon's actions. The only thing that needs to consume one's own mental energy is the illustrated book ability. Episode 3. Characteristics: Ninja. Shauna? Seeing his master looking at him blankly, Gardevoir tilted his head and said in confusion. This is another point where Lin Ke feels that Pokémon are not like telekinesis, but living individuals. The Pokémon born from Nin can speak. Although they use Pokémon language, Lin Ke can understand it. I'm fine. As he spoke, Lin Ke got up and came to the large round table. There was a glass of water on the table and a green leaf on the water. Although he already had some guesses in his mind, Lin Ke still wanted to try it out for himself. What Lin Ke is going to use now is the water view style chi identification method created by Shingenryu, and use this method to determine which category his nun belongs to. Standing in front of the round table, Lin Ke looked serious and put his hands on both sides of the water glass. He made a movement as if he was going to pick up the water glass, but there was still a gap between his palm and the water glass. Taking a deep breath, Lin Ke slowly gathered his mind energy into the palms of his hands. Waves of pure white and translucent mind energy covered his hands, forming layers of white film. Nun has just awakened not long ago, and he has not practiced well. This is already the most mental energy that he can mobilize at present. Suddenly, a little sweat appeared on Lin Ke's forehead. Seeing this, Gardevoir quickly picked up a handkerchief to wipe away the sweat for Lin Ke. A trace of distress flashed in his beautiful eyes. Gardevoir's movements were like a sign. As Lin Ke released more and more thoughts, changes began to occur in the water glass. The originally transparent water seemed to have been dripped with bits of pastel. It was pink at first, and then deepened to form a purple liquid. Just when Lin Ke thought it was over, the leaves on the water began to curl up and gradually sank until they stopped in the center. At this time, the leaves have become spherical, and there is also a layer of crystals attached to the surface, and there are some patterns on it, which seems to be a capital letter M. From Lin Ke's perspective, the spherical crystal in the water glass is like a fairy ball, and when paired with purple water, it looks more like a master ball inside. After confirming again and again that the water cup had not changed, Lin Ke stopped outputting his thoughts and moved his hands away. Looking at the strange appearance in the water, a flash of understanding flashed in Lin Ke's eyes. Sure enough, is it a trait type? Nan is divided into 6 major factions, forming a hexagon as a whole, namely. Enhancer, the phenomenon is an increase in water volume. Conjurer, the taste of water changes, and the taste of the change is determined by different people. Manipulator, something like crystals appearing in water. Transmuter, the color of the water changes. Emitter, the blades on the water move. Trait system, phenomena that are different from the other 5 systems all belong to the trait system. For example, in the original work, Kurapika's ability is a trait type, and her ability can be used to 100% in the other 5 types. Kralo's ability to steal Nan from others and Pykeneton's ability to read memories are both trait-based. Among the 6 types, the trait type is the rarest. It is worth mentioning that abilities different from your own department can also be used, but the farther away you are from your own department, the weaker you will be. Lin Ke thought that his judgment was wrong at first. After all, according to his imagination, the Pokémon Master should be none of the trait type. The color change of the water is the signature of Transmuter. But a series of changes later made Lin Ke understand that he was indeed a trait-based person. If you really want to talk about it, your trait system should include the abilities of Emitter, Transmuter, and Manipulator. Emitter refers to the ability to direct Pokémon battles by oneself, and also has the ability to analyze illustrations. Transmuter means that Pokémon can enter and exit from your own body, and it can also attack outwards from within your own body. Manipulator means that each Pokémon is an independent existence, an individual manifested by telekinesis, and even ordinary people can see it. So maybe that rumor is true? Lin Ke remembers seeing this saying somewhere before, saying that all those who are born with talents are of the trait type. Now that you have determined your category, the next step is to practice the 4 major practices of mindfulness. They are Tangle, Ju, Lien, Fa. Wrap, concentrate your mind, gaze into your heart, calm your mood, and surround yourself with the life energy that is constantly escaping from the body, that is, mind energy. This is the basic skill of using mind. Absolute, eliminate one's own aura and forcibly cut off one's own aura without being noticed by the enemy. Refining, use entanglement to concentrate your mind and burst out a powerful aura. If entanglement is the accumulation, then refining is the explosion. Fa, in layman's terms, it's none. After you reach a certain level of none, you develop your own none. This is closely related to each person's personality, hobbies, and other aspects. From a person's none, we can roughly see a person's character and so on. The above are called the 4 elements, collectively called mindfulness. Although Lin Ke feels that he can just rely on the strength of Pokémon, but unlike fighting, the skills of the 4 major elements still need to be mastered. Lin Ke believes that the most important thing to him at present is refining, followed by winding. Because the application skill of Lien condensation allows people to see the thoughts of other saints. As we all know, thoughts cannot be seen with the naked eye, but you can see them by using condensation, which is not unimportant. After all, Lin Ke positions himself as a Pokémon trainer responsible for commanding. How can he command if he can't even see the opponent's attacks? Lin Ke believes that tangling is equally important for 2 reasons. First, if you want to practice refining well, entanglement is an unavoidable obstacle. The second is that tang can lock the thoughts naturally emitted by the body into the body, which in disguise has the effect of prolonging life and improving physical fitness. Compared to normal non-people, Lin Ke is already quite relaxed. You only need to focus on winding and refining, while others have to practice all the 4 elements step by step. Cultivation is important, but... Lin Ke glanced at the soft bed. Let's start practicing again tomorrow. Episode 4. Even if you can't get it out, you have to get it for me. The next day Lin Ke slept until almost noon before waking up. After eating, he slowly prepared to practice. Lin Ke knows his own path very well. He had a hard enough time on Blue Star in the past. On the premise that he was completely able to protect himself, he was unwilling to spend more energy on penance. Spending a little effort to practice is the most, let alone imitating other hunter. Putting aside the fact that I don't have that talent, I can only read about Bisky's long-term hard training in novels. If you really want to try it, not many people can persist. Lin Ke also had to admire that Nun is indeed closely related to the human body. Nun, a Pokémon Master who only needs to travel around to obtain Pokémon and enhance himself, is really suitable for me. Before starting today's practice, Lin Ke needs to make sure of one thing first. Not long after, a waiter handed today's brand new newspaper to Lin Ke. At first glance, Lin Ke pays attention to the date in the upper right corner, which shows 1998. He remembered that the 287th Hunter exam that Gon and the others took was in 1999, and the Hunter exam started on January 7th every year. I remember that this year Hisoka was disqualified from continuing the assessment because he injured the examiner, and could only take the exam again the next year. In other words, the timeline that I traveled to is some time before the plot begins, and there is still a lot of time to develop. This is the main purpose of Lin Ke's newspaper. Other information in the newspaper is secondary. Understanding the current timeline is important for subsequent plans. Yesterday was his first day in this world, and with the confidence of Gardevoir, Lin Ke went directly to solve the money problem first. As for the reason why he won everything yesterday, it was naturally because Gardevoir was helping. With Gardevoir's super telepathy, it was easy to see the points through a small dice goo. With the first task completed, Lin Ke can concentrate on starting his first practice. Putting on a relatively loose training robe, the whole person stood in a natural and relaxed posture, and gradually experienced the movement of mind energy in the body. According to Motoya's words when he taught Gon and Gon, this is the most suitable way to practice entanglement. The mind energy throughout the body is like blood, constantly flowing in the body. From the head to the right shoulder, to the hands and legs, and then to the left side, then the thoughts sink, and the image of them swaying around appears in the mind. These methods are all learned from animation and applied in the present. This is why Lin Ke feels there is no need to become a disciple. As a hunter. Although there are still many areas that are not clear enough, there is no problem if you practice the basic skills well. After a long time, Lin Ke's originally closed eyes suddenly opened, revealing a flash of light. The previously silent membrane began to expand like a constantly inflated balloon, wrapping Lin Ke's entire body inside. After the accumulation reached a certain level and reached a critical value, the thoughts rushed out of Lin Ke's body like a flood and rushed around. The release of high-intensity thoughts creates strong wind pressure, making the practice robes whistle. Since the mental energy bursts out in all directions with Lin Ke as the center, his hair is also driven by the rising mental energy at this moment, giving him a scion-like appearance. This is refining. Release the accumulated thought energy outwards in one breath. Generally speaking, the most basic way to check the current capacity of Nian Qi of an elderly person is to refinement. The longer it takes to perform refining, the higher the patient's current mind energy capacity is. When performing refining, Lin Ke was also trying to control the movement of his mind energy, trying his best to flow his mind energy upwards. His goal was to cover his eyes with his mind energy. The technique of condensation is not difficult to say, you just need to try more to get a rough idea. But it's not always easy. After all, condensation uses mind energy on the eyes, so you have to control the strength, otherwise you may hurt yourself. Another point is to control the consumption of Nian Qi. If you are not proficient enough at the beginning, it is easy to use too much force and consume too much Nian Qi. The duration of the battle between the good and the bad is not short. Don't wait until you have used condensation to see how long you have run out of Qi. Half a minute later, the turbulence in his thoughts changed and he calmed down again, but it was even weaker than before it started. At first glance, Lin Ke was already sweating profusely, and the large training robe on his body was soaked with sweat, revealing his slightly thin figure underneath. Use refining with all your strength for half a minute. This is the result of Lin Ke's first practice. It seems to last for a very short time, which makes people feel that their talent is not good. But in fact, compared with the characters in the original work, Lin Ke's performance is already very good. After a while of rest, Lin Ke reviewed everything that had just happened over and over again in his mind. In the next few days until he gets his identity certificate, he will practice in this room. After all, I have nothing to do at the moment, other than eating and sleeping, I can only practice. Time flies by, and in a blink of an eye, Lin Ke has stayed in the hotel for 7 days, and it is now the night of the 7th day. According to the previous boss's promise, the identity certificate should be handed over to him by today at the latest. But until now I haven't even seen a hair. Lin Ke sat cross-legged on the bed, her delicate face slightly tired, but her eyes were bright and bright, with a faint layer of white air clinging to the surface of the eyes. He has initially mastered the technique of condensation. Haha, you are a frog in a well after all, the situation is still not big enough. Lin Ke's mouth raised slightly, and his words were full of ridicule. In fact, he had known for a few days that Pies had no intention of helping him. You don't have to say whether you need a personal photo on it as proof of identity, but you should at least have a name on it, right? Otherwise, what else would it be called as proof of identity? Lin Ke never told him his name from beginning to end that day. The reason why I waited until the deadline was just because I was too busy practicing to bother with him. After 7 days, condensation was mastered, and Lin Ke's patience was almost at its limit. He can't wait to travel to various places, see features he has never seen before, and get his own Pokémon. Today he can take this identification certificate if he can, but if he can't take it out, he has to get it for me. Episode 5. Didn't you say you were going to crush me? It was late at night, and there was only a little bit of moonlight leaning on the stone road on the empty and deserted street, providing some light. Lin Ke walked into the casino leisurely with his hands in his pockets, as if he was back at home without any precautions. The Gardevoir in his body that was ready to come out at any time was the reason he dared to come. Not only is Gardevoir powerful in combat, but his life-saving ability is also top-notch. As long as you don't encounter too many enemies that exceed Gardevoir's strength, it's easy to escape with one-hand teleportation. After looking around for a week, Lin Ke then locked his eyes on the 2 people in the center of the hall. Of the 2, one is tall, one is short, one is fat, and the other is thin. The short and fat man was naturally his acquaintance Pies, who was looking at him proudly at the moment. As for the other tall and thin man, he had a strange face that he had never seen before. He seemed to be ordinary and had a conspicuous aquiline nose. He did not look like a good person. With the use of condensation, Lin Ke clearly saw a smoke-like airflow flowing naturally above Pies' head. Ordinary people who can't chant have no way to control it, and the life energy in their bodies will continue to slowly dissipate from the top of their heads. Pies is not the point, he is just an ordinary person. What's more important is that the tall and thin man next to him has no life energy escaping from the top of his head, and the overall mind energy adheres to the surface of his body, which shows that he is a nun. Lin Ke found that the tall and thin man's exposed skin looked abnormal, like broken glass with cracks on it. Lin Ke can think of only one reason for this happening: initiation. The word initiation probably first appeared in Heaven's arena. When others reach the 200th floor, they will encounter none. Some poor people with low strength can only challenge ordinary people. After ordinary people reach the 200th floor, they will be attacked by these evil people with malicious thoughts. Only a handful of people with high talent or good luck can take this opportunity to master mind. And more people are seriously damaged, and they will be seriously disabled even if they don't die. But those who survive may also use a little bit of Nian Qi. This is initiation. Ha ha ha, boy, your death has come. Pies across the street saw Lin Ke dare to come in like this, and couldn't help laughing wantonly. The fat on his face kept shaking under his laughter, making his already ugly face even more disgusting. The tall and thin man on the side glanced at Pies and said nothing. I know you are definitely not a simple boy, so I deliberately spent a lot of money to invite this adult to take action. Just wait for death. This is what you will get for humiliating me that day. Speaking of this, there was a flash of pain in Pies' eyes. It would cost a lot of money to hire a talented person to do things. Especially after all the casino money was given to Lin Ke, this made matters worse. But Lin Ke must die. Not only to vent his anger, but also to preserve his reputation. In Pies' eyes, everything that day was Lin Ke humiliating him, but Lin Ke didn't do anything to him. He fell on his own and knelt down to beg for mercy. Pa, a villain is a villain after all. I was too kind to you that day. You said you were good at doing things obediently. Now my poor Gardevoir has to deal with the garbage again. Lin Ke applauded Pies' change of face and said with a pity tone. If you want to put this person on Blue Star, he is a native of Sichuan in the national service. You. Pies on the opposite side was still thinking of saying something, but was stopped by the tall and thin man beside him. Let's stop talking nonsense here. I don't have so much time to waste here. The tall and thin man said sinisterly, while pointing at Lin Ke opposite. Boy, don't think that you are invincible by knocking down a few ordinary people with your momentum. I don't even need to get close to you to crush you. Of course, in order to satisfy my employer's requirements, I will torture you for a while longer. Crush every inch of your bones and let you die in pain. Speaking of which, the tall and thin man opened his mouth and revealed a bloodthirsty smile, which made him look even uglier. People who have failed at initiation tend to have distorted personalities. After speaking, streams of white thought energy overflowed from the cracks in the tall and thin man's body. The sparse mental energy gradually formed a huge palm surrounded by white air above his head, rushing straight towards Lin Ke. Until it was close to Lin Ke, a pink telepathy struck in the form of an arrow. The extremely fast arrows made bursts of sound and easily shattered the white palm into the air. Finding that Lin Ke was still standing unharmed, the tall and thin man looked a little confused and asked in disbelief. How come you're still fine? You should be crushed by me, right? Huh? Wait. Why are your attacks so weak? Hearing this, Lin Ke frowned and asked the tall and thin man. Lin Ke stopped wasting time and directly turned on the picture book function to use it on the tall and thin man. Name, Haas. Strength, laughing face. Nin, none. Lin Ke couldn't help but hold his forehead and smile bitterly. He seemed to be too conservative. He originally thought that Huaz was a man who had been initiated and still had sound limbs, so he might be very strong. Unexpectedly, the strength is only D, and he can't even use condensation, and Nin has not been developed. That Nun Chi palm is not Nin at all, it's just concentrated Nin Chi and pounces on the enemy. Boy, you. Haas on the opposite side was still thinking about what to say, but Lin Ke couldn't hold himself any longer. Shut up. You bastard, you're just a failure after the initiation, and you're still talking nonsense. Suddenly a white light flashed, and Gardevoir appeared, exuding all his energy, and an extremely huge momentum rushed towards the two people opposite. In Lin Ke's eyes, Gardevoir was like a scorching sun, emitting dazzling light. The release of thought energy stirred up the surrounding airflow, and the entire casino seemed to be in a storm. Chairs and tables were overturned, and light chips were flying all over the sky. Haas was forced to kneel on the ground by this huge momentum, while Pies on the other side was even more unbearable. He lay on the ground like a fat pig waiting to be slaughtered. How is it possible? How can you be so powerful? Haas's face was full of fear, his facial features began to distort under the tremendous pressure, and he gritted his teeth as he spoke. With the huge gap in strength between the two stages, Gardevoir just turned his thoughts into coercion, making Haas unable to even lift his head. Hey, why are you kneeling down? Didn't you mean to kill every inch of my body? Crush. Break. Episode 6. I forgive you, but I didn't say I won't kill you. With every word Lin Ke uttered, Haas became more and more miserable. He was no longer as confident as he was just now. More like a lamb kneeling down begging for mercy. Before he could ask for mercy, a deep voice sounded, "It's so boring, I don't even have the ability to resist, Gardevoir, telepathy." A bad premonition welled up in Haas's heart, which was the body's involuntary reaction when facing death. But under the pressure, he couldn't move at all, he could only accept the arrival of death. His eyes darkened, and Haas's consciousness completely disappeared into the darkness. After a moment, Gardevoir put away the pressure, but Haas had already fallen to the ground. The thought energy he was so proud of was so weak and pitiful that he couldn't resist even the slightest attack. In the end, he died in a way he thought he would not die, being brain-dead due to the impact of telekinesis and completely losing his breath. As Haas died, his mind immediately dissipated, and his body began to fall apart, like Bucky the clown who had eaten a fruit that was torn apart. It turns out that the aftermath of Haas's initiation was not just broken skin, but deeper injuries. The awakened mind energy and the broken body form a certain balance. The pitiful amount of thought energy was like a ball of glue holding his body together. Now that his thoughts are gone after death, his body will naturally fall apart. What's funny is that he kept saying he wanted to crush Lin Ke, but in the end it was himself who was crushed. What also changed was Gardevoir's experience value bar. Killing a D-level Nin brought her a weak experience value. It is indeed pitiful. Compared with the long progress bar, this is a drop in the bucket. Then, it's you next. Lin Ke looked away from the piece of minced meat and looked at the shivering pies next to him. At this time, Pies was already frightened, his whole body was trembling like chaff, and he did not dare to look to the side out of the corner of his eye. He swore that this was the most terrifying scene he had seen since his mother was born. Even the instant death of several guards last time could not compare to this. As a gang boss, he has seen a lot of death, but the bloodiest scene he has ever seen involves a headshot. I have never seen a living person turn into countless pieces. Pies, who didn't know how to read, kept thinking that Lin Ke was responsible for the tragic situation in Hoth, and even left in his mind the impression that Lin Ke was a corpse-dismembering maniac. Thump. Lin Ke kicked the floor hard twice, signaling Pieces to raise his head. Ah. Don't kill me. Pies slowly raised the pig's head, with panic and fear in his eyes. In his eyes, Lin Ke is like a breathtaking black hole, constantly pulling at him, about to drag him into the bottomless darkness. Please, please, sir, please let me go. The hoarse voice revealed clearly audible despair. He didn't think Lin Ke would let him go, but he didn't want to be like Haas, who was like one piece here and one piece there. Where is my proof of identity? Lin Ke did not answer his request, but said coldly. Pies' pupils shrank suddenly, and his body began to shake involuntarily again. Pies knew very well what he had done in the past few days, and he had done nothing else except asking for connections to find talented people to help him regain his position. He had long forgotten about identification. In his opinion, with the experts he had spent a lot of money to hire, things should be easy to grasp. This proves. Lin Ke was not surprised by this. He would be surprised if he could take out his identity certificate and give it to himself now. I only give you 1 hour. If I don't receive it after 1 hour, he will be your fate. Lin Ke crossed his arms across his chest and said slowly. Lin Ke didn't say who he was, but they both knew who they were referring to. The last arrogant person has become all over the place. An hour later, Lin Ke held a brand new identity certificate with name, gender, birth address, and other information. There is no need to say more about the name and gender, but the birth address is directly said in this town. A friendly smile appeared on his handsome face. Lin Ke said to Pies, who was still kneeling in front. Look, isn't this possible in time? Efficiency is indeed forced. Sir, what you are saying is. Even though he was on the verge of collapse both mentally and physically, Pies still had to kneel down and apologize with a smile. Sir, do you think you can spare this villain's life? You just want all my belongings. Now Pies' mind is blank, he doesn't think about anything else, he just wants to live. He hated himself very much these past few days. What happened to the humiliation? Now it's better. Originally, it was just a matter of losing money to eliminate disaster, but now life is on the line. Forgive you? Okay. Lin Ke put his ID card in his pocket, stretched slightly and walked out the door. Pies stared at Lin Ke walking out step by step, as if he was hit by a huge pie falling from the sky, and he couldn't tell the east, west, north, and south of the surprise. But this joy didn't last long before it disappeared. The moment Lin Ke officially stepped out of the door, Pies' fat body also fell to the ground. The smile he had before his death was still on his face. If it weren't for the dripping blood, others might just think he was asleep. I forgive you, but I didn't say I won't kill you. You should be more discerning in your next life. Not everyone can be provoked at will. In the dark and quiet night, the moon was covered by black clouds. Lin Ke slowly walked into the ink-like night, leaving only a sigh. Episode 7. Restrictions and Oaths. Harrywood City. It is located in the middle of the European continent, and is also within the United States of Sahelta. Harimu City is an ordinary city with nothing outstanding, but there are still many people entering and exiting it every day. That's because the famous Harimu ruins are here. Even Harimu City was built taking advantage of the reputation of the Harimu ruins. Is this the ruins of Harimu known as the Deathland? It really deserves its name. Lin Ke stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows on the upper floors of the hotel. This was the place with the best view in the entire hotel. Looking out through the floor-to-ceiling windows, you can see the huge Harimu ruins outside the city. In the eyes of ordinary people, the Harimu ruins are just a larger place than ordinary ruins, and there is nothing unusual about them. But under Lin Ke's concentrated gaze, an extremely large amount of death thoughts gathered in the center of the distant Harimu ruins. Just by looking at it, you can feel the sense of death coming towards you, as if it is going to devour everyone who tries to get close to it. It was like a large continuous dark cloud that completely enveloped the center of the Harimu ruins. People outside could not enter or see clearly. The Harimu ruins are roughly divided into two parts, and the overall shape is circular when viewed from directly above. By judging whether it contains thoughts of death, V5 sets the outer city that does not contain thoughts of death as a tourist attraction that anyone can enter and exit. The inner city full of thoughts of death is not open to ordinary people, and only some wealthy people can enter and exit. Among them, the none who will come are roughly divided into two categories, relic hunter and treasure hunter, but it is said that no one has ever been able to reach the depths. Because being in the thought of death, the patient needs to consume a lot of thought energy every minute and every second, and the deeper the thought of death, the higher the concentration. In fact, the most indispensable thing on this continent is ruins. As a hunter. And most of them have not been thoroughly explored because of the existence of the thought of death. The Harimu ruins are also one of the most dangerous among them. Because it has a much stronger desire to die than other ruins, it was given the title Death Place. Lin Ke felt the progress bar symbolizing the birth of Pokémon in his mind slowly advancing, and murmured to himself, I didn't expect that the first ruins gave me a surprise. Since killing Pies and Haas that day and getting his identity certificate, Lin Ke has embarked on his own journey of travel. Considering that Nun explained that not every place will breed Pokémon, and participating in the original plot can increase the probability of breeding. Lin Ke immediately decided to arrange the places that were described in large episodes in the original work, such as Sky Arena and Ukexen City, later. Even if these places are not listed as targets, there are still many famous places that can be visited on these 6 continents. For example, the Dead Place Harem where we are now, the City of Pleasure Gramugaslin, and so on. Only after Lin Ke truly came to this world did he realize that the places that appeared in the plot were far from just the tip of the iceberg. The reason why he came to the Harimu ruins first was by chance. It was very close to the town where he came, so Lin Ke came here to try his luck. To his surprise, this first ruin gave birth to Pokémon. Lin Ke touched his chin and thought deeply. I don't know if the pregnancy probability is too high or if I am just lucky. Looking at the Harimu ruins in the distance, Lin Ke also had the idea to find out. Even if he couldn't go deep, it would be good to see it outside. Lin Ke planned to walk around the city first, quietly waiting for the progress bar to be full, and then welcome the second Pokémon. I don't know which Pokémon it will be. Lin Ke has not been completely idle these days. After analyzing his nin over and over again, an idea emerged in his mind. In fact, from the beginning, he was surprised by the lack of information about Gardevoir in the illustrated book. Finally, he thought of a way that might not only complete the information in the illustrated guide, but also improve the strength of Pokémon. And this requires the use of a large amount of Pokémon knowledge stored in your brain. Restrictions and oaths. Simply put, it means setting rules, making an oath in your heart, and sticking to them. The more difficult the rules, the more powerful it is. If the usual nen is compared to addition, then the rule-abiding nen is multiplication, and the power will increase geometrically. Due to her inner hatred for Phantom Troop, Kurapika set the restriction that Nun can only be used on Phantom Troop when she was practicing Nun, which gave her powerful abilities. After only practicing for a short period of time, one can catch up with members of the brigade who have been practicing for many years. Restrictions and oaths are fair, and you need to abide by the rules of restrictions when enjoying the abilities they bring. If you break your oath, you may lose Nun due to backlash, and you may even lose your life. All Lin Ke has to do is make a restriction and an oath. This was Lin Ke's decision after careful consideration. After coming to this world, he felt that his greatest advantage was Nun Pokémon Master. The second is the precious memories on Blue Star. The memory here not only refers to the prophetic knowledge of the original plot, but also the full understanding of Pokémon. So, set the rules here. You can have 1 minute for each Pokémon. Within the specified time, you must include the characteristics and attributes of the Pokémon. Even the racial values, skills that can be mastered, etc., are all repeated. Taking 50% as the average value, if the knowledge told exceeds 50%, the Pokémon's strength will increase up to a large level. If the knowledge is less than 50%, the Pokémon's strength will decrease up to a large level. Lin Ke wants to turn the knowledge in his head into strength. First of all, even if the restriction and oath failed, he would not lose anything. At most, he would be disappointed. But if it succeeds, the rewards it will bring cannot be explained in just 1 or 2 sentences. If it really succeeds, Gardevoir can be directly promoted from the current B level to A level. Faintly, Lin Ke found that there seemed to be a strange feeling lingering in his heart. Balance between gain and effort. The restrictions and oaths are established. Episode 8. Harimu Ruins. Pressing down on his pounding heart, Lin Ke immediately began to use restrictions and oaths on Gardevoir. Name, Gardevoir, attributes of superpower system, fairy system, characteristic copy, synchronization. A minute flew by in an instant, and Lin Ke's mouth stopped as fast as a machine gun. At the same time, the thought energy on Gardevoir, who was standing there, suddenly stopped. Immediately afterwards, the momentum burst out several times stronger. The majestic pink thought energy filled the entire room in a short time. It was like shining a pink flashlight into the room, turning it into a pink ocean. Suddenly, the tables, chairs and other items in the room floated up together, and Liangfen's thoughts were like a big hand dragging them down. Gardevoir's emerald green hair couldn't help but flutter, and as soon as she turned around, she changed from a graceful and polite young lady to a calm and powerful queen. The illustrated ability is activated. Name, Gardevoir. Features, copy. Attributes, superpower system, fairy system. Strength A. Skills, telekinesis, mental shock, hypnosis, magic sparkle. Ha 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 ha, it's done. Looking at Gardevoir, who was now much stronger than before, Lin Ke could no longer suppress the joy in his heart. The most important thing is that this is just my first Pokémon. There will be a second and third one later. Class B will become Class A, and Class A will become Class S. As a hardcore Pokémon player, Lin Ke can pat his chest and guarantee that he can explain most of the powerful Pokémon knowledge very completely. As for the remaining mediocre Pokémon, there is no need to worry about their strength regressing due to restrictions and oaths. After all, their own strength is not high. And according to Gardevoir, now she can not only carry multiple people to teleport together. You can also carry out multiple long-distance teleportations continuously, and your life-saving ability has skyrocketed again. At this moment, Lin Ke was smiling so much that his face was blooming. He never expected that one attempt would bring such a big harvest. On the streets of Harrywood City. The overall style in Harimu City tends to be consistent, with a very orthodox Western look, roughly similar to Gothic architecture. The roads are mostly made of rows of bricks and stones, which look neat and beautiful, which is good news for people with obsessive-compulsive disorder. The buildings on both sides of the road can be said to be villa types, mostly 2 or 3 stories high, composed of stone skeletons and flying buttresses. At first glance, they look like a church. The overall color is off-white, which leaves an unconscious impression of cleanliness and tidiness at first glance. Lin Ke was wandering around the city with nothing to do. While admiring the city scenery, he subconsciously compared it with the style on Blue Star. The shops and stalls selling things on the street basically revolve around the remains of Harimu. Most of the vendors sell antiques found in the ruins, but as time goes by, there are fewer and fewer things in the outer city, and most people in the inner city cannot enter. This means that not one of the 10 so-called antiques is real. Walking on the brick road, Lin Ke suddenly stopped in his tracks and frowned. Huh? Just now, the progress bar of nurturing Pokémon in my mind suddenly stopped. It was only progressing slowly before, but it was still moving forward, but now it has completely stopped, as if it encountered some kind of transparent barrier. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes slightly and subconsciously looked in the direction of the Harimu ruins. Lin Ke disappeared in the next second, and when he reappeared, he was already in the deserted open space outside the Harimu ruins. The stagnant progress bar spreads forward again like a shot of chicken blood. Is that really the case? Looking at the wall covered with reliefs next to him, Lin Ke thought to himself. Things are easy to see. There is an upper limit to the progress bar in the city. After reaching the limit line, you need to get closer to the center of the place, and then the progress bar continues to move forward. For this Pokémon breeding site, the central location is the Harimu ruins. I just don't know if every Pokémon gestation has to move towards the center. To be serious, this is the first time I have experienced giving birth to a Pokémon. Gardevoir appeared with me when I awakened Nin. What happened next seemed to deliberately confirm Lin Ke's conjecture. It didn't take long for the progress bar to stop again, and now it just reached the 50% progress point. Lin Ke didn't hesitate when he saw this, and walked straight into the Harima ruins, and the progress bar moved forward again. Lin Ke didn't care, he thought he was going to visit the Harima ruins. Anyway, he had this plan, but he just made it a little earlier. The interior of the ruins is intricate, and the first impression you get is that of a maze. At first glance, there are light yellow walls and a few statues. Most of the ruins are relatively intact, but there are still parts of the walls and statues that have been damaged and fallen to the ground unnoticed. The reliefs on the walls are lifelike and the details are breathtaking, showing the superb skills of the carvers. It is said that the ruins of Harimu were the ruins of a palace that was destroyed a long time ago, and it became like this after unknown events. This is what countless archaeologists and relic hunters want to know. Not much information can be learned from the reliefs. We can only roughly tell that this is a country full of romance. The people are rich in emotions, the per capita artistic level is high, and professions such as painting and sculpture are extremely prosperous. And it is said that the royal family of this country has extremely powerful power, and every king is the strongest. At that time, the mainland was far from as stable as it is now, and the people needed the protection of the royal family. Surprisingly, despite the endless dangers, there has never been a crisis in the kingdom, and the people attributed this to the king's protection. Most of the statues here are also carved according to their appearance to praise the previous kings. Due to their age and disrepair, these reliefs and statues were not officially removed, but remained in place. At the same time, strict laws were enacted to protect these cultural relics. If you pick up some gold bottles or jewelry in there, it won't matter. But if you pay attention to these reliefs and statues, then wait for the official to come to you. As Lin Ke leisurely progressed into the depths, the progress bar also moved towards 100%. Until... Sigh. I still have to face my thoughts of death. Lin Ke looked at the thought of death so close at hand. The thought of death was not a fixed thing. It was like a black mist blown by the wind, provoking in front of him with its teeth and claws. The dancing black smoke is like countless tentacles, eager to drag people in and devour them. Until the boundary between the outer city and the inner city, the progress bar stopped at 70% and refused to move at all. So, we have already reached 70%. It would be a pity to just give up. Is there any way to deal with the thought of death? Episode 9. Wherever you go, the thought of death disappears. Paying careful attention to the thoughts of death as thick as ink, Lin Ke recalled the information about the thoughts of death. Death thoughts are thoughts after death. Generally, it is formed after a person dies because his will is too strong. For example, he wants revenge and is unwilling to die like this. The original ordinary thought energy will become aggressive and aggressive like blackening. This setting sounds a bit like the setting of zombies in horror movies. If a person still has a breath of resentment after death, he or she will easily transform into a zombie after death. The use of death thoughts can go far beyond the zombie form. The scene that depicts the most thoughts of death in the plot is the duel between Hisoka and Krallo in the Sky Arena. The anime has not been serialized here yet, it only appears in the manga. Krallo turned the surrounding spectators into human bombs during the game. Although Hisoka was not completely killed, the continuous explosions caused a lack of oxygen. So in the end Hisoka died from lack of oxygen. After Krallo thought Hisoka was dead and even the body was carried away by the staff, something magical happened. A desire to die started in Hisoka's heart and he performed cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and finally Hisoka was revived. It turns out that Hisoka left a part of his mind in his heart before he died, and when he was about to die, he used his strong will to drive his death mind to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It is said that this was an attempt by Hisoka, who was not completely sure that he could save himself. When I saw this, I couldn't help but sigh at the old thief Togashi's brains, so he could be saved by force. In other words, thoughts of death can also be understood as a negative ability, as opposed to ordinary thoughts. Thinking of this, Lin Ke suddenly had an idea and immediately asked Gardevoir to stand next to him and use skills on the death thought in front of him. This skill can only be learned through the move learner in the game. However, all the skills that the Pokémon bred from Lin Ke Master will appear directly in the skill box and can be used directly. In other words, any move that Pokémon can learn can be used. Mysterious Guardian. A group of translucent spheres completely enveloped Gardevoir, as if trapped by a huge bubble. At the same time, the thought of death in front of Gardevoir seemed to have encountered a natural enemy, and it began to roll back quickly, eager to get away from Gardevoir. The thought of death a little further away was not affected much. Lin Ke stared at the thoughts of death that hurriedly retreated as if he had lost a battle, and he understood clearly in his heart. The role of mystical guardian in the Pokémon world is to avoid being affected by abnormal conditions. In this way, it seems that the thought of death can be regarded as an abnormal state in a sense. It seems that I can also play a guest role as a mind killer? No, it should be half a mind killer. The mind-killing master can remove the mind after it acts on a person, while the mysterious guardian prevents the mind of death from acting on the person. One is treatment and the other is prevention. The thoughts that have been manipulated by the mind-killing master should disappear directly, while the mysterious guardian drives away the thoughts of death. This can be seen from the fact that the thoughts of death did not disappear but receded just now. Lin Ke also realizes the importance of mysterious protection. The thought of death is an abnormal state. What if someone else uses Nin with an additional abnormal state on him? Will this be considered an abnormal state and have any effect? Although Lin Ke hasn't tried it yet, his intuition tells him that it should be useful. Etc. If mysterious protection can prevent death thoughts, then can't healing ringtones remove thoughts of death? Gardevoir can also learn the healing ringtone. Lin Ke can directly open the skill panel to view it. Healing ringtone. It can relieve the abnormal status of the entire team. Your teammates are judged subjectively by yourself, including but not limited to negative effects such as thoughts of death and curses. Now the name of Master of Mindfulness can no longer escape. A mysterious guard for prevention, a healing ringtone for removal, double protection. In this way, no one can question that he is a mind-killing master. If Lin Ke remembers correctly, in the Hunter x Hunter world, although the number of Nin people is much smaller than that of ordinary people, but there is still a part of it, after all. Psychics are truly a rare species. After watching the anime and manga, there are only 3 mindbenders mentioned in them. One is the black guy who appears on Greed Island to exorcise Krallo. One is a rabbit-shaped ant called Sheena among the Chimera ants. The last one who has never shown up is the old woman who works in the Hunter Association. Except for such rare talents as Nien Master, they can be easily exploited no matter where they are. To try, Lin Ke also asked Gardevoir to use a healing bell on Death Thought. The beautiful singing voice turned into reality through thoughts, and turned into the notes of the staff floating forward one by one. The thought of death meets the musical notes, just like snow meets the warm sun, melting away step by step until it disappears completely. It was as if the thought of death had never existed in that area. A gap suddenly appeared. After a while, the thought behind him stepped forward to fill the gap. Gardevoir. Feeling the consumption of thought energy in his body, Gardevoir said softly to Lin Ke next to him. Will the healing ring cost more than the mysterious guardian? But this is normal. After confirming that both were useful, Lin Ke asked Gardevoir to put a mysterious guard on himself, ignoring the danger ahead sign on the side, and the two of them walked forward together. As expected, Lin Ke took a step forward and Death Thought took a step back. Lin Ke feels like the Tang monk trapped in a circle in Sayuji, feeling extremely safe. Not to mention that the circle will still move with itself. Lin Ke and Gardevoir walked towards the depths of Harimu step by step. Wherever you go, thoughts of death disappear. Episode 10. That I know a little bit. The endpoint of the inner city of Harimu ruins. There is a dark door that looks like it is made of ink and surrounded by strong thoughts of death. The gate stood proudly, blocking all walks of life. If the thoughts of death outside are scattered like black mist, then the door is like a thick block of ink. It's so rich that it's solidified. In front of the gate, the dead silence of the past has changed, and it is very lively. Then, just leave like this? Young Master Pete, with his hair parted in the middle and wearing wide sunglasses, spoke, with a hint of gloom in his eyes. Otherwise, what else can we do? Will you be able to get rid of your thoughts? The leather-clad woman stared at the door fiercely, and the reluctance of the speaker could be heard from the tone of her gritted teeth. That, I know a little bit. The 6 people all turned their heads and looked behind. The place that should have been suffocated by thoughts of death now began to shake violently like boiling water. A few seconds later, a handsome, younger man walked out with a smile. It was as if there was a translucent plastic bag around her body, blocking out thoughts of death. There is also a human-shaped Nien beast behind him, which has the aura of a noble lady. It was Lin Ke and Gardevoir who came. As Lin Ke gradually went deeper, he discovered that the end of the inner city was not the real end. This can be seen from the progress bar stopping at 80%. The real end must be behind this door. Several people also saw Gardevoir next to Link, and they were all powerful people who naturally saw that this was a mind beast. The 6 people present all focused on the fact that Lin Ke had no thoughts of death around him. Eliminator? Brother, are you a mind killer? The woman in leather clothes looked at Lin Ke and was half convinced, but she still couldn't help but ask. I can't afford to be a mind-killing master, but I just have some means to keep the thoughts of death out without being disturbed. Lin Ke's words cheered up the people who were tortured by thoughts of death, and they all came forward one after another, as if they were waiting for the dawn of victory. After some explanation, Lin Ke finally understood the whole story. The man with glasses, the woman in leather clothes, and the hip-hop man are 3 brothers and sisters. They met Peter and his 2 bodyguards in the outer city of the ruins, who were also thinking about the depths. Considering the possible dangers encountered internally, the 2 parties formed a temporary team to explore together. But the biggest problem with this temporary team is that there is no telepathy master. They have relied on constantly consuming their own telepathy to resist. In other words, this section of the road is not too long, otherwise a few people would not be able to get here. Even so, all of them had almost used up more than half of their energy. Lin Ke looked up and down at the door, and now he fully understood why it was said that no one could reach the end yet. Emotions are blocked by this door that exudes strange and dark thoughts of death. The thought of death on this door was 10 times stronger than the thought of death filling the air outside. If there are a few people outside who can rely on yen to resist, there is really no way around this. As long as you touch it a little bit, you may die. Lin Ke was not idle while listening to their explanation. He used his illustrated book ability to explore all the people present. The result reassured him that most of the strength inside was sea level, only the middle-parted Pete was B-level, and the hip-hop guy was B-level. Such strength poses no threat to him and Gardevoir. On the other hand, Nun, the 3 brothers and sisters, was a bit special, which made him a little unexpected, but their combined strength was still not good enough. When they were looking at Lin Ke was also looking at the 6 of them. Peter and the 2 bodyguards were all wearing standard black suits. Perhaps it was the impression left by pies, but now that Lin Ke saw people dressed like this, he subconsciously thought they looked like gangsters. Both bodyguards have standard haircuts and are very ordinary looking. Pete's head was parted in the middle, and a pair of eyes were hidden under wide sunglasses, making it difficult to see the expression underneath. But Lin Ke knew without guessing that there was probably something wrong with this person, either with his eyes or with his person. The former is to cover up eye diseases, the latter is to conceal eyes. 2 of the bodyguards were each carrying a large leather backpack, while Pete was free with his hands empty. Among the 3 siblings, the man with glasses is the eldest, the woman in leather is the second, and the hip-hop man is the youngest. The man with eyes is thin, has a pair of squinting eyes, and wears a pair of gold wire eyes. Wearing an ordinary white shirt and leather shoes with layers of light gray. If he were thrown into the crowd, he would be an extremely ordinary office worker, except for his slightly sharp eyes. The woman in leather clothes is about 1.7 meters tall, has the face of a royal lady, and has an inexplicable heroic spirit between her eyebrows. Wearing a black leather coat and holding a slender leather whip with some barbs on it, she looked like a queen. This was probably not for role-playing. Under Lin Ke's condensed gaze, he discovered that this whip was completely composed of mind energy. Obviously, this is the product of the manifestation of thought energy. The last image of the hip-hop man is the most eye-catching. He has a darker complexion and a pair of thick eyebrows. Wearing a red hip-hop style dance costume, she also carried a large hiking bag behind her. What attracted Lin Ke's attention most was the thick knuckles on his hands, and the thick calluses also showed that he was unusual. Brother, as long as you can help us avoid the intrusion of death thoughts, I promise you to share 40% of all harvests by then. How about that? Peter spoke first, and his words were full of sincerity, but Lin Ke always felt that this person had evil intentions. The corner of his mouth curled up, and Lin Ke's slightly narrowed eyes showed a playful look. It's just that these few people are not very strong, so I just play with them. Okay. Lin Ke nodded and walked towards the door.